The woman sitting here with me today helped take $7,500 from me. And at the same time, she might be the reason why I didn't lose everything. On November 8th, 2025, she was beaten by a man I was doing business with. And on the same day, bruised and broken, she reached out to me. She sent me photos and she warned me. So how can you sit across from someone who was part of your betrayal and still find gratitude? Today, in this conversation, we're going to find out how. I am Erin Patten, host of the Meta Business Millennial podcast, and I welcome you to this very special episode of how to find grace in crazy discomfort and crazy challenge. And so I want to welcome Sara Joyner to the show. Welcome, Sara.
Hi, Erin. Thank you so much for, your grace and understanding with my role in helping someone betray you. As I mentioned, I'm just terribly sorry.
I don't even want to get into all that right now. I do receive your apology, and that's not what this is about. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I really want us to get into who you are and how we even got here, because I think that's really going to help to, open up and expand this conversation in a beautiful way.
Excellent, for sure. So I am a talent and performance consultant with over 15 years in talent acquisition in software, healthcare, biotechnology. I am a blogger, Soft and Savage, helping women who are in the position of myself develop and create a rebirth, reconnect with themselves, and just be rooted and grounded in authenticity. I'm a mother of a 4-year-old, proud mother, very active, and a PVMU grad. Just a woman out here trying to live her best life.
I received that. Well, I really want to jump into the story because obviously this is why we're here. And, your bio, your life, your experience is so beautiful and certainly not reflective of how we met. And so I really want to get into, the story.
I'm laughing because, it's right. It's not reflective. Like, what is happening?
But I feel like that's the twist. And yep. So, you went viral for this. You know what I'm saying? You have now like over 30,000 followers on TikTok. And I really want to get into just like the background because it's so funny. Like I was talking with a friend yesterday and they're like, is this the first time y'all are going to talk about this? And I was like, well, we've talked, but seriously, this is the first time we've actually talked about it since you called me that day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really want to kind of just get into the background for those who may not have been following you on TikTok or Instagram. Like how did you meet this person? Like, tell us more. You feel free to name names if you feel comfortable. Yep. And we can just go from there.
Cool. So I met Isaac Moore when I was like 20 years old. We were just two kids dreaming out loud. He was an aspiring fashion designer and I was an aspiring model. And we would go our separate ways after he was sleeping in the back of my friend's studio. And I used to record there. I was a recording artist at the time. I was getting ready to move to Los Angeles. So we went our separate ways. He shared with me his dream. So I came back to Houston maybe like 6-7 years later. And I saw like a launch party for this bag. And I was like, he did it. So I was proud of him. He came out with his first collection. And then we would cross paths again at fashion events because at that time I was like a full-fledged professional model. I went on and did what I said I was going to do too. So we would cross paths at fashion events and then just keep up with each other, like speak every now and again until about 10 years of that. So now we're in our 30s and now we're like, okay, he's like, I want to be in a relationship with you. I don't want to be your friend anymore. I want you to see me as a man. And he had this cute little girlfriend proposal. It was just really cute. So we would be together for like 2 years until he started to take off with this box experience. He would share that dream with me as well. Like, ooh, one day I'm going to create these boxes. And I saw the first prototype. He came to my book release party. I'm an author. He came to my book release party with his little prototype of his first box to do like an experience there. And we would disconnect again because our lifestyles were just not aligning. So fast forward like 8 years later to last year, November 2024, we would see each other at a kid's birthday party. So the night before the birthday party was on November 5th, 2024. November 4th, I was up scrolling Instagram and I saw this post from someone that I follow who was him and Isaac in the post. And so I was like, oh, Isaac. And I hadn't thought about him in years. I said, I wonder what he's up to. So I went to his Instagram page. I wasn't even following him. And I just saw that the box experience was doing exactly what he dreamed out loud to me it would do. So I was like, I'm so proud of him. So I almost went to send him a DM like, what's up? I ain't talked to you in a long time, but I didn't do it. The next day, 12 hours later, because this was like 1 a.m. The party was like at 3 p.m. So the next day, I bump into him at this party. And I'm like, oh my God, I manifested you, is what I told him. So I really felt like this was some divine reconnection. And so when things would get rough in this situation with him, I would be like, no, it's a reason. It's a reason because of this experience. And that was just, I let the woo-woo get me in trouble.
I'm so glad you brought this up because I don't want our spiritual beauties out there to be discouraged by divine intervention and what they feel is divine manifestation, particularly with the man, because you are not wrong. We can manifest men in our lives who are potentially our mates, yet sometimes, but there's obviously in a relationship, there's two energies. So you show up in your goodness and your truth. He shows up in his goodness and his truth. So you both have an opportunity to create that bond. You honor it, but as soon as he dishonors it, that's when he loses his chance. So you were not wrong in thinking that you manifested him. You were not wrong in thinking this was divine intervention because it very likely could have been. But he dishonored the opportunity to be with a divine goddess. And that is the lesson too for us as divine beings in human form is that we manifest these men, all these men that come into our lives. Like you said, they come in with so much love, so much potential, so much possibility, but it's up to them to continue to hold that space and do the work to hold it. Like you said, you were fasting, you were taking care of your kids, you were taking care of your family. They have to do the same amount of work or greater, depending on where they're at. Yeah. And when they don't, that's when they lose the bond and the blessing that you are.
That is powerful. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That is powerful. And then look at what the outcome turned out to be with this whole viral moment. There was that was definitely divine intervention, that connection there. Yeah. That moment was so powerful to me that it really helped me hold on to him.
Yes.
And
Yeah. And that was your lesson essentially is that you dishonored yourself. And in you dishonoring yourself, it ended very brutally. And then to atone for that, atone for, the betrayal with Me Too, you went to the public. Fuck the courts, fuck the system. Yep. Not to say fuck it, fuck the courts, or fuck the system. But to say that, yes, that aspect of the courts and the system is also happening, but I need to do this for my own soul and my own soul's healing and my own soul's journey. So you have, of course, the court and the system that can resolve disputes. But this is a soul dispute that needs resolution.
That's right. You have to get back to righteousness, the identity and connection with being righteous. That's very important to me for my spiritual practice. To go before God knowing that I'm his righteousness. And I can't be righteous holding unforgiveness in my heart, holding antagonism in my heart and shame. I have to address these things. And whatever it takes to address these things, I must do.
And you did so bravely because then you went in front of the judgment of the world instead of just the judgment of a few. You went before humanity and spoke your truth. And that is a huge feat.
And just like, we're both single and started to rekindle. Well, I thought he was single. We started to rekindle and spent a lot of time together. But by this time, he had some trouble. And so as a friend, he was like, pouring into me, like sharing with me that he was really depressed and scared. So he would be at my house and just sleep for days. I was like a little recovery center for him. It was a safe space. And I didn't mind it, right? This is my friend.
As a friend, of course, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
mind it. So he would be here and I would just cook for him. He'd be around my family and we would just pray with him and just try to lift him up. I really did not believe that he was a bad person. I just believed he was in a bad situation, that he made mistakes. And I knew where he came from, so I could have grace for him making those type of mistakes. So time would go on and we would be in a relationship together and trying to figure out life together. It was a tough time for both of us. And so one night he calls me in a frantic, it was like around 10 o'clock at night. He was like, I need you to do something for me. And I was like, what? He was like, I'm going to have this girl send you some money. I just need you to receive the money. And I'm having her send it to you because the person that I'm booking charges $5,000, but I'm charging her $7,500 because I need that extra $2,500 off the top of that. So I saw him struggling and needing money for gas and, needing food. So I was graceful. I was like, okay, fine, I'll help you. So that person was you. And so the next morning, he comes to my house to like, hey, I'm going to take you to the bank to go pick this money up. So at that point, we're just collecting the money. But at the bank, I needed to make some phone calls. So I'm like, hey, I have to get clearance for this money. He's like, okay, well, you're going to be her assistant. Just tell her you're assistant. If she asks any questions, you are this person's influencer that he was booking assistant. Just tell her you're that assistant if you guys have to talk or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't think anything of it. And that's what we did. So a couple of days would go on, a couple of weeks would go on, and then I would get emails from your team asking me for this contract that he was like, oh, I signed it already. And I was like, well, why do they keep asking me? I don't know who that is, and, don't worry about it. So we go to leading up to you having this event, this practice, I guess the venue walkthrough.
Yeah.
And, I'm excited about the event because my life has become 100% corporate and I'm really bored in my space. I'm looking forward to getting into more creative events because I've planned all these corporate events. I want to get into more creative events. And I was just excited. And he was like, you're going to be my assistant at the event. Don't worry about it. It's going to work out. So we lead up to this walkthrough, and a couple of days before, he's like, you really don't need to come. It's, we're just going to check out the venue. You really don't need to come. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm still not thinking of anything. Like this is going to go awry. So we go to fast forward. I haven't talked to you. You reaching out to me about this event, and I'm thinking he's on top of this. And meanwhile, me and him are getting into it at this point. We're falling out. So, I'm already like stopped dealing with him because of our own personal, his lack of integrity is what it was. He was missing things that he said he was going to do for me. So we were already falling out. And so leading up to me going to his house the next day. So this Saturday before that happened, he called me that morning like, hey, let's spend the day together. We've been on a rough patch. We're going to have a good day today. I'm going to come spend the day with you, like 8 in the morning. So 12 o'clock comes, he doesn't show up. So by this time, I'm like, I'm done, like leave me alone. So the following, not I'm done, leave me alone, but like, we're beefing and I want to talk through this beefing and let's change the nature of our relationship. Get back to being friends because this isn't working. So he wasn't responding to my text messages. Now, mind you, he had a deadline of November 10th. So this is November 8th. We had a deadline of November 10th of us doing this. He was supposed to be helping me with my business credit to like help me get my talent boutique some funding. So he was like, the 10th is coming. So I haven't heard from him. So like my nerves are starting to get frazzled. Like, what's going on with this guy? Like, what's happening? So I decided to go to his house. And I showed up at his house. I rang the doorbell, waited at the doorbell, and he comes out with aggression. Like you could see his energy immediately. He comes out with aggression. So I'm like, what's your problem? Like, what's all this aggression? And so he walks away from me. His garage was open when I pulled up. When he walks from the front door to the garage, I walk behind him. Like, what's up with you? What's up all this aggression? And I didn't come there on aggression. I came there in fur slides and leggings and, hair and makeup. Like, I didn't come to fight. So he walks away from me. I walk behind him. When I walked into the garage with him, he shoves me out the garage. And I was like, did you put your hands on me? Like, what is happening? My mind is blown. And then there's a lady that comes out, and now I'm like, what the? Okay. So, I don't know. I lost my temper at this point. Like, we're arguing back and forth. And by us arguing back and forth, we're in the driveway now. And next thing I know, this man has his hands around my neck, and he body slams me to the floor. I hit the back of my head the first time to the ground. Some kind of way we're like tussling. I'm pulling his shirt or something because I had the surveillance video and I saw myself pulling him. And then he body slams me again. This time I hit my face, busted my lip, scraped my face. He took my wig, threw it. He took my cell phone, threw it. I had on some designer glasses. He stomped on my glasses. And so I went to the car and called 911. And when also he tried to spit on me. So he turned to me and was like, tried to spit at me. So then I go to the car, I call 911 and wait for the police to get there. And so when the police got there, they were like jovial with him. Like they were like laughing and joking. The ambulance came. I go into the ambulance. They treat me in the ambulance. So I called my friend who came to get me from the scene because I wasn't leaving. And then whoever this woman was watching this whole thing go on. And she was like, the only thing I heard her say was, Isaac, that man is watching you. So some neighbor came out and she warned him that some man was watching him. And once the police came, I'm like expecting an arrest. There was no arrest. So I left. And then I went to my friend's house. And when I went to my friend's house, I was sitting there and I thought to myself, he's working with this lady who has a brand that women are the target audience. I know that I'm about to make this video. She is not going to want to be associated with him after I make this video. I still think he's doing good business with you. So, decent business. I can't say good because he was skimming $2,500 off the top from my perspective, from what I knew. So I just thought to call you or text. I think I texted or called and I was like, hey, you're not going to want to be associated with him after I published this video of him assaulting me. And then you shared something with me that let me know that he didn't even come through with this influencer. And I was floored. So I was like, what? He was assuring me, oh, this is fine. Don't worry about it. So when you shared that with me, I was like, let me just tell her the truth. The truth is I'm not this person's assistant. He asked me to say I'm this person's assistant. And because he was skimming $2,500 off the top of that $7,500. And you were like, well, I kind of know this already. I think you said something along the terms of you knew that he wasn't doing right. And so I got off the phone with you. I made the video the next morning. The next morning, I posted it first on Instagram and then on TikTok. My mom called me right away when I posted on Instagram. She was like, delete that video. That's embarrassing. You need to delete that video. And it's going to hurt your case. So
your case.
Yeah, because I wanted to pursue assault charges against him.
Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So I deleted the video off of Instagram. And as I was going to TikTok to delete it, a girlfriend of mine called me who was like a domestic violence advocate. She was just like, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud that you shared this story. I'm so proud that you shared his name. Because too often we protect our abusers. And I said, well, I deleted it off of Instagram. She was like, why? Why did you do that? And I was like, well, my mom said it would hurt my chances of getting him charged with assault. And as I was going to delete it off TikTok, she was like, do not delete the video. Do not. She's like, it's not going to hurt your case. And if anything, it's going to help your case. So I didn't delete it, and it went super viral. Not only did it go viral on TikTok, but then I was in all the blogs, like all the urban blogs were talking about this situation. And I feel like that viral experience had so many women reach out to me, to pour into me, to support me, to say, hey, I never told anybody what happened to me. And I'm so proud of you for telling it. So they were like this moment where women would feel like I was speaking on their behalf. And that helped me to feel empowered in a situation where I really felt all kind of things. I felt disgusted with him. I felt really hurt. Like I couldn't believe he would put his hands on me at all. I couldn't believe that his energy would be projected towards me. So because of that viral moment, I really poured into myself. So then I just started to, slow down. I was already in the gym. So I think that routine helped me to process the level of anger and rage and disappointment that I was feeling. And then fast forward to now, a company wants to do a documentary on this situation. So here we are.
Okay, well, I'm laughing because it's just like I need it's like a release in a way, because it's just like how we find ourselves in these situations, how we end up doing stuff like this is just, we always come with the purest of intentions. We always come with the purest of heart, generally, and I feel that energy off of you. And to end up in these chaotic, traumatic ass situations is just like, how did I get here? And so I guess it's time for me now to share my side. Because I don't think it's too dissimilar. And I believe that it mirrors in many ways how you guys met. You said you met in a time where you both were recovering and recouping and feeling like there was almost like a trauma bond.
Definitely.
In a way. And it was very similar for me. So in August of 2025, I've been very transparent about this on my podcast. I lost custody of my 5-year-old son at the time. He's now 6. And I had gone, and not only had I lost custody, but I also had lost visitation rights because the judge's order hadn't been signed. And so I hadn't seen my son, talk to him, engage with him for over 3 months. And it had to be around, in that kind of 3-month period, I had gone back to Houston. I was going back and forth a lot because I had to go to court, and I'm in Austin, but I'm back and forth to Houston always anyway, and that's my hometown. And so I was out with friends, and I happened to be in a lounge where where Isaac walked in, and I was very happy to see him. We took a picture, me and my friend, and the reason why I know Isaac is because very similarly, 20 years ago, he was essentially like a protege or a mentee of my father. And this was a time when I was studying fashion. I was in Paris, I was in New York, working in retail. And my dad was feeling very, wanting to feel really connected with me in the fashion industry. And he met someone who had gone to Jack Yates like him and who was doing fashion. And he became Isaac's first investor. And actually, Isaac was living in my dad's home, and he would go to dinners and stuff with my parents. So I didn't necessarily have a close connection to him, yet he had a very close connection to 2 people who I felt like loved and knew me the most, my parents. And so that was why when I saw him, I was very happy to see him, because I hadn't actually seen him since my father passed away. And the last time I saw him, he had taken me and my mom to dinner, and it was a really I would say loving, if you will, moment. And so, he came very similarly with the energy of like, I had been going through rough times. So had I. And he's like, and I really want to support you and help you in whatever way I can. And word for word, pay back to you what your father had done for me. So he really used and leveraged my father, who of course is like the softest spot in my heart, to connect with me, and use that as a hook to, in many ways, scam me. We haven't used that word, but scam me. And so he's like, I'm going to come to Austin and check on you and your mom, and we'll go out to eat and we'll go shopping and we'll just have a good time. And so he actually came to Austin. He honored his word. He got to see how difficult it was for me, carrying my mom around, taking care of my mom, doing things by myself. And he was just like, whoa, and we had very detailed conversations about my finances and my life and my business. And I honestly didn't feel 100% comfortable, but I'm also such a open person that I feel safe just like being myself. But he spent the day with us, and then he went home the next day, and then that was that. And then as I was coming upon planning my Raw Beauty launch party for my hair business, I was trying to figure out some venues where I could have my event, because I, was struggling to find a place, and I was thinking something would be small. I really wasn't trying to do anything major. And I was thinking about him because he was telling me how he does events, and he's really, he's had a lot of successes, and I had been also seeing his successes. Then I was just like, maybe I can call Isaac, because he was saying he could help me with anything, and he would know a place where I could have it. So I call him and ask him for a recommendation for a venue. And his response was, let me plan your event. And here I am in this season, and it's really ironic, because here I am talking about being in your feminine flow and being in receptive mode, and how I have had historically a history of not being able to receive from people. I'm giving this man an opportunity to give to me, is what I'm sensing, is he wants to do something for me. Let me allow it. And so I call my event planner. I say, don't worry about it. My friend says he's going to do it for me. And, I even go so far as to talk openly about how much would you cost, like what's your rate, like what are your fees. I want to make sure you're properly compensated. I don't want to feel like you're doing anything for free. And he's just like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll figure that out. This is his language to me every time, because I brought that up a lot. And so the first thing we needed to do, he said, was secure an influencer. We really need an influencer that can host your event and really help kind of bring more notoriety and visibility to your brand and to your event, which make perfect sense to me. But as people know, it's a huge investment, generally the biggest investment you make into an event, tens of thousands of dollars oftentimes. And I did not desire to spend this much on my event, but I was really convinced that I have one shot only at this luxury brand positioning, and this could be my opportunity to go big or go home. And he really helped plant that seed for me. And so knowing his background, knowing that I didn't really feel safe with him, and so many people warned me about working with him. I have to say, I had very close friends warn me about working with him. I overrode and I overrided my feelings, and I overrided my friends' warnings, and I still move forward with working with him. And and I'm saying all these in this way so people can hear the lessons and the opportunities and the flags that went ignored. Maybe not ignored, but just overridden. And so I call myself trying to check and balance the situation so that I wouldn't be scammed, because I knew that could be a possibility. And I told him very directly, I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable paying you for this influencer. I want to be connected to at least her assistant or her team, and I want to pay her directly. And he was like, okay, I understand. And actually, the reason why is because I actually tried to pay him from my bank, and my bank denied it, saying that this person was not, almost like a flag, like we can't send money to this person. So my bank was actually not allowing me to send money to him. So that was actually, and then I was like, oh, this is weird. It's never happened to me before. Maybe this is a sign. Let me dial back and reassess. And so this is when I got introduced to you as the assistant of the influencer. And I felt, okay, I talked to you, like I was texting you, And I felt like, okay, let me make sure she gets the money. I got your email address. I emailed you the contract, and I was expecting a signature with the agreement. And, Isaac was like, go ahead and send the money first because she's traveling and she needs the money to lock it in. And when she gets back from traveling, she'll sign the agreement. And I trusted that, which is also another kind of red flag when you're dealing with agreements. And so then I sent the money, and I'm thinking that I got my influencer secured. And weeks go by, I don't hear from her. We do our first visit at the venue. I'm thinking that you, the assistant, would be there. You're telling me that you're not going to be able to make it this time. And so and the whole time I'm thinking you're the assistant of this influencer. And so then, when it's literally like November 8th, the event is November 20th. So literally 12 days before the event, I still don't have a signed agreement. I still don't have any information from this influencer. We're trying to put out promotion. We're trying to market the event, but we can't promote or market because we don't have the influencer locked in. Then I cold email her team. I got the email off of Instagram. And on November 8th, that morning, I woke up very much like you, like there was like a pressing deadline. And I was so anxious. And I kept asking Isaac what was going on. He kept saying, I'm reaching out to her. She's not responsive. She's not committing. And then so I reached out to her myself. I get an email back from her assistant saying that we don't know who Sara Joyner is. We've never received a payment. And this is the first time we've seen this agreement. We thought that we were working with Isaac's sister. And so I get this email back from them. And then on top of that, the same day, I get the photos from you. And then that's why when I got the photos, initially, I have to be completely honest, I was like, oh my God, this is none of my business, was my initial response. I was like, I don't want to get involved in this. Like, I got so scared when I saw your photos. But then when you were like, you seem like a woman whose brand does not align with Isaac Moore, and he should not be aligned with your brand, I was like, okay, she sees something in me where she trusted me to send this to me. I need to talk to her. And then so my immediate response after that was, can we talk? And I called you. We talked. You were so vulnerable. You were so honest, like how you were just now, sharing everything, every detail about as best as you could about what was going on in the state that you were in. And, even how you said I shared back, like I felt like something wasn't right about it because here I am weeks later and there's still no influencer. And I got the clarity that I needed to that day stop doing business with him. And literally, I actually called him later that day because I knew what was going on. And I asked him, I was like, well, since we weren't able to get the influencer, can I get my money back? And he flat out told me no. And that was the last time I talked to him. And so, that brings us to, I feel like, this next phase around, the healing aspect of it, because, after the event and after your viral video, like I just blew past that. Then I see your video the next day, and, everyone on my team that was planning the event saw it. Of course, they're sharing it with me, and they're just like, Erin, what the fuck? Like, and they also knew what was happening in terms of me paying you and us not having the influence. Everybody knew everything. And so here I am planning this launch event for my beauty brand that, long story short, I had to shut down my brand a few years ago because I was dealing with the loss of my father and my mom getting sick. So this was a very kind of like big moment for me in rebirthing something that was near and dear to my heart. So this was at a time where I had lost my son. So there couldn't have been a more like heinous time to do something like that to me in my dad's name, in my father's name. And so I'm not only having to manage the trauma of feeling like I'm in the middle of your your event, and you're getting assaulted, harmed, and I'm thinking too on some level that it had to do with me because my only connection to you was about Isaac. So I'm thinking that, and then I'm not getting an influencer, so I'm feeling like I had something to do with it, and then having to manage the team for the beauty event who were also feeling betrayed, who were also feeling taken advantage of, who also weren't getting paid by Isaac. And I'm having to pay them double because they never received the payment that I had paid him to give them. So the week following, because I'm here, I am like, the days are counting, you know what I'm saying? It's 11 days, 10 days now from the event. I meet with my team about 10 to 8 days before, and we all are sitting around the table holding hands and praying. Because it's like, how, God, are we going to pull off this event that was literally meant to be planned by a whole other person who completely scammed us all and lied to us all? And people can go to my page and also my podcast and see how the event turned out. It ended up being a miracle event because of just who I am and how I work with God. But at the end of the day, the circumstances behind it, like, I mean, it's a movie. It's like a drama. It's a dramedy on some levels, but it's really like a scary drama movie. And so, you know, after I did the event and really began to heal around what happened leading up to it, I get a reach out from you, and I remember seeing your name, and I was like, "Oh, this name sounds familiar," but I couldn't even really place it because it was just like such a block. And you were like, "Erin, you know, I'm reaching out to people because I'm doing a documentary around victims of Isaac Moore's scamming and abuses. And since my video went viral, I've had, 10 people reach out to me, and on the scamming side, I've had 3-4 people reach out to me on the abuse side. And I believe that their stories need to be heard. And I've become in many ways an advocate, for women who've been abused and scammed. And this is how we got here. This is how we got here, literally. And so, I just really, this is why I started the show saying, like, it went from betrayal to gratitude, because in many ways, like I said, you warned me, you allowed me to really open my eyes and see the person for who he was. And then on top of that, to be able to come back in humility and with a desire to mend the situation. So I want to give you an opportunity, Sara, to speak with us more about the post November 8th events. And you talked briefly about, the healing you've had to been doing, the journey you've been going on with this documentary. So share a little bit more about what that's looking like and how that's unfolding.
Well, first, the healing part, savagery. You've been using this word betrayal, and that's exactly how I felt by Isaac. I felt genuinely betrayed because he put me in a precarious situation, outside of my character, under the guise of me being loyal to him. And it's really a deep betrayal that hurt my heart. But I have experienced a man betraying me before, so I had gave myself 2 days of like sadness for him. On the second day, I saw my face, the tore up face, plus the tears and the swelling from the crying, and I said, "That's it." I was like, "No more crying. We're done. No more sadness. We're done." And that's exactly what it was. I went on, a journey of just like praying and fasting. I went on a 10-day fast.
Wow.
Where I was just seeking God, 5 a.m., afternoon prayer, at night, to recalibrate myself. I just genuinely believe that my God can put my broken pieces back together, and that's exactly what you're looking at, somebody who's been put back together. Um,
Amen.
at this point, I feel sorry for Isaac, because he is just like a sociopath, in my opinion. So, in addition to taking my power back through my spiritual practice, I've also embarked on this journey with creating this documentary. And the documentary is empowering to me because I've always wanted to produce a film. So it's like a bucket list goal. And who knew that this would be the film that I'm producing?
Who knew?
And I don't want this film even to be like a bash session. I think he's a complete human being. He's just deeply, deeply flawed and has
Right.
allowed the darkness to take over. So I am interviewing people with this production company that are sharing their experience with Isaac. And I'm not pushing for them to be salacious. I'm just pushing for them to be authentic and genuine and share
Right.
their.
Right.
And listening to these people, they are so broken. Their trust is betrayed. The way that they view the world has changed through their
Mm.
experience with this man. So he has some deep influence on people's lives. In addition, there has been some harassment. So I don't know if it's him or someone that is a part of his team, but they've harassed me as well as some other victims. So now we are sharing the same type of text messages we're getting, calls that we're getting from all different numbers telling us to stop talking about him or to this and that, like trying to make us go away, and
Mm.
to insult us terribly, in some terrible ways. But because of my spiritual practice, I'm not easily intimidated. I know who I am, so you can't call me something that I'm not. And you can't make me feel afraid. I don't live in fear. I don't live in fear at all, And this documentary, I think, is going to be a breath of fresh air for so many people who felt silenced. They're still going through the legal system. It's been years since he's taken their money, and they're still like, the legal system is so convoluted, but, we're not even going to talk about that. So, this documentary feels like a voice for them and for me too, because I had genuinely good intentions for this person, genuinely want the best for this person, and was deeply betrayed. So to have an opportunity to advocate for others and to advocate for myself really feels empowering. And to do something that I've always wanted to do, which is produce a movie, is genuinely empowering. So I'm thinking that will be done potentially around end of spring, beginning of summer, and then we'll release it there. I'm playing with titles. I'm not sure. I'm playing with working titles now, but I haven't had a title just yet.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. Because it's like you're taking the lemons, it's like the classic phrase, you're taking the lemons and you're making beautiful lemonade, and you're inspiring and healing not only yourself, but a collective of women along the way, because trauma lives in silence. And I told you this when I talked to you on the phone that day. I don't know if you remember. And to be silent about our traumas allows it to continue to exist and to live. And the more we're able to air it out, the more we're able to express it, the more we're able to speak on it, allows it to come to light and to be resolved, essentially, and ultimately be healed. And of course, people who are traumatizers are going to want you to continue to live in silence so that they can continue to be the abusers and traumatizers. Like, that's just how it works. And so by you continuing to stand in your truth and speak it, then you will continue to rise and be empowered and aligned to your purpose. And that's essentially the work that I do, the work that I embody, and the work that I lift up. And I really want us to talk about really kind of like the accountability piece, because I feel like we can talk a lot about external aspects like Isaac, etc. But then there's me and you. And I felt like for us, that there was opportunity here for us to have bad blood, for me, like my initial reaction was to turn a blind eye. Like, you had that woman in front of your face, turned a blind eye to what she saw happen to you. And this is a very much behavior, particularly in the Black community, where it's like don't snitch type energy. And I felt that, like, why would I want to tell on somebody who this didn't happen to me, you know what I'm saying, type energy. And if I would have taken on that, I would have never gotten a chance to talk to you. I would have never gotten a chance to understand your perspective. We wouldn't be here today.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really want us to, lift up the and talk about like what it is for women, particularly Black women, to go through something like a betrayal and able to sit across from each other, woman to woman, and have an honest, transparent conversation about wrongdoing and all the things. So I just had to say that.
Yeah, I'm definitely deeply accountable for my actions and the role that I played in betraying you, as well as accountability in my own actions with accepting Isaac in his current state. Like he came to me depressed and broken, and I know that I'm not a psychologist, a doctor, a hospital. However, here I was trying to nurse a man who should have been at home with his sister or his mama or his family, not leaving that darkness in my house.
That part.
Yeah. So I need to be accountable with the red flags that I ignored under the guise of, well, he's just in a bad place right now. Well, bad places don't need to be in your house with your child. They need to be outside. So I'm wrong. I'm wrong for dealing with him because, I saw the negative press. I saw his disposition. He looked like a dark cloud to me and my family. And I was just like, well, he's just going through a rough patch. He had an ankle monitor on. So my brother was like, what's that on his ankle? So my whole family is like, girl, what are you doing? And here I am like, he's going to get better.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and same for me, because so many people was like, Erin, like, how could you work with him when you know he's a scammer? Like, Erin, be careful. He's taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from people, and I did the exact same thing. So I also need to take accountability for my actions. And I don't know how people are going to respond to this video. Like, honestly, I don't know how they respond to most of my things where I'm talking about all the insane situations I've ended up in. But at the end of the day, we live and we learn. And, I have such a big heart, and I always, to your point, want to see the best in people. My friend recently was just like, Erin, we need to work on your discernment. And that's something that I'm constantly praying about. That's something that I'm constantly leaning into. And maybe it's just like that last bit of lessons that I needed as I continue to rise in my own, ascension journey, and learning how to be able to spot these red flags. And with that, I want to ask you more about kind of what you're doing now in your, lessons around scammers, because I feel like there's some nuggets that women can take away from this, or men
for
can
sure
take away from this. And I think that'd be great. Maybe like you can name a few
yes
people can spot for.
You mentioned something to me after that initial conversation when I reached out to you about being on the documentary. You said, that you try to see people through God's eyes or from God's perspective. And when I read the message in my heart, I'm like, that's what got me in the trouble I'm in now. Trying to see somebody from God's perspective. Like, well, he's a good guy. And, he's just in a bad situation right now and he's going to do better. I was like, you can't be graceful. You got to see people for where they're at. You can't be looking at potential. You got to see them for where they are at right now. And if they are dark cloud right now, there is traits and behaviors that come with people being a dark cloud, appearing that way. There are traits and behaviors. And
well, I want to clarify that because I think that God's eyes are also very clear. Like, God sees all. And we often think that just to see the good is just being seen like God, when in reality, seeing the good in people is not necessarily always seeing things through God's eyes, because we can also fall victim to wishful thinking, which I think is more of what's happening in that case than seeing people through God's eyes, is that we're seeing potential. We're wishing that they could be more God-like, and they're not.
Exactly. And for the traits of dealing with the scammer, I feel like most scammers are highly influential. They're very charming, right? So I'm always mindful. I think going forward now is to be mindful of people who feel like who are sound too good to be true. They say all the right things all the time. They have these grand promises immediately. So like, someone, for example, like Isaac, he comes in like, when I get my money back right, I'm going to help you with this. And we're going to do this with your business. They have all these grand promises they're going to make. And then you see that they're not being fulfilled over time. So their words
Right.
materialize, which starts to help. And when you start to doubt someone's integrity, when one mishap happens, when they say, hey, I'm coming to Thanksgiving dinner, and then they don't show, that's your red flag. Like, okay, doubt that person's integrity, because one lie is connected to 100 lies. If, he's unhonest with you, or you see him being unhonest with someone else, assume he's being unhonest with you too. Don't just assume it's just with them. No, that's not it. And then I feel like the romance scammers, they come in and dominate your time. So when I bumped into Isaac, he was at my house every day after that for like 3 months, every single day coming to my house. Sometimes he would call before he comes. Sometimes he just show up. And I mean, just so dominating your time. And that creates a false sense of intimacy. And having that intimacy builds trust. So they quickly try to establish trust, I believe, through false senses of intimacy. So like him coming to your home to help you with your mom, and then him calculating, talking to you about your finances, him calculating, okay, she trusts me, I'm intimate, I'm in her home helping. Attack. He's got his window. From the very beginning, so this whole business thing, the business credit thing, I think is a part of his little scam. So from the very beginning, at the children's birthday party, he started talking to me about business credit. But he was telling me how much it costs, and I was like, well, I'm not going to, this is not the time to do that. I'm not going to pay for that. So then months would go on. He would bring it up again. It's time to get this business credit. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And so he just kept trying until finally I was like, okay, I got laid off. So the day I was laid off, very vulnerable position, I called this person who I think is like a trusted confidant, my friend, my lover. Hey, I was laid off today. He's like, okay, now we're going to get this business credit. So I was like, okay, how much is it? Let's do it. So I paid to get the business credit. There was never any business credit. So these people will look for vulnerable points. Be careful of being just overly vulnerable with someone. And in this situation, I think it's very unique because I feel like he was easy to trust because we got this deep history. So it wasn't even like I was
that's part of it too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
so I really want to, just continue to build off the things that you said, because, we talked about the God's eyes and being able to know the difference between seeing things with God's eyes and seeing things through wishful thinking, like being able to understand that God sees all. So, and so you want to be able to see all of the things and not just the good things, see
yeah,
the good, the bad, the ugly, and then take your time. I feel like that's really what we lacked, is that we you did feel like you gave him time, but it was like because he was all consuming, like he took all your time and all your energy, so it didn't give you the space to be able to have the awareness or have the discernment, because he was in your face.
yep.
And I love too that you were saying, like, if someone's dishonest once, can be a dishonest 100 times. And that too is something that you notice and you take note of. Like, one thing too that I've been doing now when I've been dating people, if I see things red flags, is I actually write them down. Like, I write them down and I kind of just start to like take note. Okay, is this someone or something that these are things that I can bring up later and talk about with this person? Like, these things bother me. Let's talk about them. Or sometimes it's not even worth talking about if you feel like you need to just live in honor for yourself. And that's really the space that I'm in now, is trying to figure out what are things worth discussing that may feel like transgressions or dishonor or betrayal, and what are some things that I need to be left unsaid and I just, gracefully and kindly walk away. And, and sometimes these lessons can only be learned through experience. And that's why I really want to extend grace to you and grace to myself and any other listeners or viewers who are watching this, because particularly as women, we we want to believe the best about people, and we can only learn through some experiences. And a lot of times women who are like, well, I would never be in that situation, may find themselves being too closed off and missing out on opportunities because they're not trusting, they're not allowing, they're not receiving. So, there's, it's either one extreme where you're overgiving, and then when you're one extreme where you're not at all, and neither is good, I have to say. And so we really want to be in the space where we can discern, where we can receive and give, and at the end of the day, not get burned.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that's really kind of what I'm hoping that people can take away from this. And also the orientation in which I'm moving. I like to say, and I talked about it in my last episode, this power strategy that's future facing. Like it's a power strategy that's continually building, that's dynamic, and it's not about control, it's not about manipulation, it's not about winning or losing or defending, because I think a lot of us kind of stay in that competitive space and don't want to lose, don't want to fail, don't want to get robbed. And sometimes it takes some of these hard lessons to be able to grow in that power and move forward and move in light, and knowing, I gave this person my all. I did what I thought was right, because this is many ways how we were programmed, how we were taught. And it wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm needing to learn actually what is the right way to do things. Sometimes we don't know what is until we know what isn't.
That's right. Yeah, that's really good right there. And I really am working on my programming in terms of how love feels like a job, or being with a man feels like your work, right? And expressions of loyalty take effort. Like, I shouldn't have to prove that I'm loyal to you, to be someone that you can call in the middle of the night for some nonsense.
Yeah.
So.
The undying love.
Yes.
And that's something too that I think has been programmed very deeply in Black women's psyche, is that we have to fight for our man. We have to fight for love. And there should never be a fight.
No.
Actually. And if there is a fight, then that's a signal of you overriding yourself. Yeah. Because the feminine, the woman, is certainly a place of peace. Like when we talk about, like, men say, I want my home to be a peaceful home. Yeah, that's the woman's responsibility. And if she is coming outside of her peace to fight for you, then that's already a dishonor of the goddess, if you will. Sure. And so I certainly believe that we're learning the hard lessons of how to honor ourselves and how to honor our peace. And the disruption of peace is the first sign that this may not be the right direction.
Yes, absolutely. That my new mantra is, I'm following peace. In order to follow peace, you got to really tap into yourself and for me, it feels like a tangible feeling. It's like a warm ball inside of me that my peace feels like. And then if I'm pursuing or engaging in something that causes that warm feeling, that I can tap into at any time to feel like it's disrupted or now vibrational, it's like kind of jittery feeling, I know that I shouldn't be doing this. And I'm not going to question it anymore. I don't need to research it anymore. Now, again, we can stretch goals and pursue things that require us to stretch, right? And that might disrupt our peace. So you need to be mindful of what the difference is of, like, going outside of your comfort zone so that you can grow in a positive direction requires discomfort. That's a different type of disturbance to your peace than some.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Discomfort is different from like a pain or, a piercing. It's like being in the gym, like when it's like a good pain, you feel it when you're growing, versus when you're being hurt, like being slammed into concrete is very different pain than building up, your glutes in the gym, So you feel the difference between the pain, and like, oh wow, this is feeling like growth pain versus this is feeling like I'm harming myself.
And not even as dramatic as being body slammed to harm yourself. When my peace was never settled with this man. Be mindful of, like, your nervous system is communicating with you. When you're constantly side-eyeing somebody's decisions, side-eyeing their comments, That's your piece. Like, girl, this ain't it. You don't need to investigate. You don't need any more. If he would make statements that would like be just like a sharp, like, you think like that, but then you keep going with them. You shouldn't do that. That's just such a lesson to trust
Yes.
yourself. Your intuition, your nervous system is communicating with you as a woman,
Yes.
especially.
Yes.
Hmm.
100%. Well, I want to go ahead and start wrapping this up. And I want to ask you, Sarah, like, what is one thing you would hope that people take away from this conversation with us today?
I think it's very important for people to take accountability of their actions and with humility. And I think by doing that, you can restore your peace because so that's very important. If you're accountable, if you can get over shame, you can get over embarrassment by taking accountability of your action with humility, I think.
Mm, I love that. And lastly, what does forgiveness look like for you?
Forgiveness for me looks like just a reconnection with your internal peace. When that's what true forgiveness is. It has to start with you. You have to forgive yourself, and
Yes.
forgiving yourself should feel like peace, a reconnection with peace. And then you can go out and seek forgiveness from that position of peace.
I love that. I love that so much. And certainly there's nothing but forgiveness for you. I remember you started this conversation with I'm sorry. And so I want to make sure we end it with that forgiveness. Like I too had to forgive myself for falling victim to, you know, scams. And then also forgive myself for staying in that drama cycle, and then offer that and extend that forgiveness to you because the integrity that you are standing in front of me with, the authenticity and the beauty of it all is just really, it's undeniable. And so I too am proud of you for standing in your truth and speaking up. And I'm proud of us for doing this today. And whether it's seen by many or seen by few, this is a moment that is going to ripple out in the ethers into the universe of goodness and love and all the things that God stands for,
Mhm.
period. So I'm really, really proud of us.
Excellent. Yay.
Yeah. And so, viewers, if this message, if this episode resonated with you, drop sisterhood in the comments because this is something that we need as women, especially Black women, women of color, is joining together in love and appreciation and seeing each other in our humility, in our goodness, in our ugliness, and all the things so that we can continue to heal and grow and rise together. So this has been a fantastic and groundbreaking episode of the Meta Business Millennial. I am so grateful to have you guys here. And I just want to ask you, Sarah, before we leave, how can viewers get in touch with you?
You can find me on Instagram and YouTube by searching Miss Sara Joyner, and that's MISS Sara Joyner, no H. I'm on TikTok, Sajo Queen Zero. So yeah, you can look for me on all the social media platforms. I look forward to connecting with you and sharing my content.
Awesome. And as you all may know, you can find me across social media at I am Erin Patten. I would love to hear from you. And of course, I would love for you all to check out my new beauty brand. That was really the center of all of this,
Absolutely.
rawbeauty.co. And it is just really going to be a beautiful 2026. And I'm so grateful that we are healing all of our wounds from 2025. That is certainly the motto this year. And I just wish you all so much love and light. Peace.
Bye.
Did you really love this episode of the Meta Business Millennial Podcast? Well, I am honored, and I appreciate you subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends. because your feedback allows us to co-create more enlightened conversations. And if you're interested in growing your soul now, head over to my website, erinpatten.com, to find all the show notes, links, and free resources to get your energy activated today. In the meantime, stay bright, my friends. Much love and light. Peace.